Good morning, everybody. This is our online session today because of the really bad weather. I was happy that they delayed to an 11 o'clock opening, but I still think that for those of you who are traveling or even just trying to walk around campus today, it is going to be a bit of a mess. So instead, I decided that we can use a screencast, which is what I'm using now, and keep note of that because you will be making one yourself in a little bit. But I'm using Screencast-O-Matic to essentially record whatever is on my screen, and so hopefully you can follow along pretty easily today. We do have quite a few things to do, so imagine that you are in class for 90 minutes, so please make sure that you leave yourself about 90 minutes to get through today's assignments. So just a couple quick notes before we get started. There is no blog this week. Instead, I'm asking you to complete the TPAC research tasks. If you recall, I sent out an email last week with a link to the video and survey that the math department and I are collaborating on. So please complete this no later than Thursday. I do have access just to see the number of students who have actually completed the survey, and out of my 2 classes, only 3 people have done that. So I really need you guys to step up to make us look good. And I also want that data so that we can use in class on Thursday. And of course, it helps you understand the next topic that we'll be discussing. So go ahead, spend some of our time today, or the time that you would be in class. Please spend that today so that you can get through the video and the survey. You can go ahead and pause this video now if you want and open your Delicious site. There are going to be 2 websites that you'll be adding today. One is called Poplet, and the other is a site dedicated to measuring your multiple intelligences. And so go ahead and you can pause this if you want and open that up so that you are ready to add sites to your Delicious site. So our objectives for today are to again revisit and identify brain networks and do an activity using Poplet that hopefully will help you really begin to think critically about UDL principles and what you know and what you don't know. As part of that, I'm going to have you do a self-assessment of your multiple intelligences to reiterate the fact that we do all learn in different ways and through different measures. You know what? I said that we were going to share the UDL codes, but that's what we were going to do if we were in class. So we're not doing that today, but we are going to work on using the UDL Educators Checklist and do some case study evaluations. So to get us started, I'm going to have us do a review about what you have learned about UDL. And we're going to do this through a tool called Poplet. So what you can do in a moment here is you can stop the video, and if you go to our Blackboard site, you will find in week 3 that we have a site here called Poplet. And Poplet is meant to be used as a brainstorming tool. And what I wanted us to do is have you start thinking about what you know and what you don't know and put it into a graphic organizer kind of look. So the way that it works is you're going to create an account, which is what I did. It is free. If you do find that you have some issues with it working, be sure to try a different browser. I'm using Firefox, and that seems to work well, but sometimes Chrome might be a better choice. Once you have a open free Poplet, all you need to do is double click somewhere and a Poplet will appear. And you can start anywhere. So UDL means, and from here you can take these circles and drag them out, and you can add things in there. What I like about this is when you start thinking about your brainstorming, you can change the colors of the boxes so that they can each represent a different idea, or maybe you want to have ideas be similar. You can also insert YouTube videos. So if there was a video that you felt like maybe really represented UDL in some way, then you can just add it right in and it builds it in as a video. You can also insert images. So if you click on here, you can go to add image, and let's say that you have something saved on your computer, then you can import it right here. So I like Poplet because it is a graphic organizer. It's a way for you to bring in some multimedia and a way for you to organize your ideas. So I have my TSEM students use this a lot for their research paper. What I'm asking you to do is take a few minutes to think about what you already know in terms of UDL. I just started with maybe the brain networks, and if you could put the brain networks here, or maybe off each brain network, maybe then you would want to put the UDL guideline or the UDL principle that's aligned with that particular brain network. Again, it's this idea of just really trying to think about what you've already learned, and rather than write about it solely, you can use this as a way to organize what you know and what you don't know. You might also have a simple box that says questions that you still have, or maybe off of, you have the brain network, you have, the affective network. I'll give you a hint. You have one, you have the UDL principle that goes along with that, and then maybe you want to put an example here. However you want to organize this is going to be your tool. And so that's the first thing that I would like for you to do today. And again, you can add that into the Poplet, you can add into your Delicious site. So why don't you pause this video now and take some time, use Poplet, check it out, play with it, and see what you can remember about UDL. If you're still struggling with the networks and their related principle, go ahead and open up your readings or your notes and fill in as you go along. But my hope is that within the next week or so, that at least the basics are going to be part of your vocabulary and part of your knowledge base for the course. So go ahead and you can, you can do that now. All right, so I'm not going to pause because I'm going to keep talking. So again, this was an example of what I created. You can access this example from the PowerPoint presentation that is posted. So you can get to my example, the one that I just showed you from here. The idea with the Poplet is that each of your Poplets will look differently. And essentially it's because we all think in different ways. Some people think very linearly, some people think very more like a web. And so this goes back to a few different theories, but the one that we're going to focus on today is multiple intelligences. And essentially this is how you learn. If you could please, and again, I'm going to have us go back for just a second. You can pause this video when you are done listening to me. When we are in your Blackboard site, you will see this Edutopia multiple intelligences quiz. And I'm going to ask you to go ahead and answer these questions, hit next, and when you are done, it will give you some information about the kind of learner that you are. And so I initially had us talking about this in class, so we will do that on Thursday. But please take some time to learn a little bit about the multiple intelligence that is most related to you, and then again we'll talk about that on Thursday. So again, if you could go to our Week 3 folder, you will see that all of the information that you need is here. This is the presentation that I'm making right now, but not in video form, in case you wanted to take more time to go through it. Here is a link to Poplet. Here is a link to the Multiple Intelligences survey. And the last and probably the bulk of today's activity is based on using this UDL Educators Checklist, which you can also find in our folder for this week, and evaluating 2 different cases that involve technology. You'll see here on this checklist, which will become, something that you'll use quite often, that you have the main areas, the main guidelines or principles of UDL, and then underneath you have each of the individual more specific ways in which UDL can be applied. Your job is going to be to look at 2 different cases and use that checklist to identify what is being used and in some ways what isn't. So if you can do that, then you'll begin to really see what some of this looks like in practice. And we know that to go back a little bit, we know that our differences in the way that we learn, going back to the multiple intelligences piece, is information that helps us identify the barriers in the curriculum. And so what our job is to apply these UDL's principles to overcome the barriers. I guess the way that we're going to do this is here. So we are going to use the educator's checklist to look for UDL principles in classroom instruction. These are the tasks for today. The first is that you're going to read and watch the 2 case studies I posted in this week's folder. Then you are going to use the UDL educator's checklist I posted in order to evaluate the case studies based on the UDL principles. You're going to save both of these UDL checklists to our discussion board. Then you're going to provide a short summary of what you thought about the case study ideas. Before Thursday, then, you will respond to 3 of your peers' comments. So I know that may sound like a lot, but let me quickly bring you through what you're going to do. Again, you'll notice here that this brings you to an article, a pretty short one, about ways in which cell phones are being used in the classroom. So you're going to go through, you're going to read this, you're going to look a little bit or read a little bit about a specific way in which this teacher is using cell phones. As you are reading that, you are going to use the UDL checklist. And you're going to take notes to say, oh, okay, that teacher, activated background knowledge, or that teacher used technology as a way to offer customized display of information. So you're going to take your notes here as you read, and I think one of the other case studies actually has a short video. Then you're going to save each one of these case study evaluation forms, case 1, case 2, and going back to our Blackboard site, which somehow has gone away. Sorry about that. You're going to upload that to our discussion board. You'll see that I have a discussion board set up for the case studies, and so you're going to post those case study UDL checklists there. So sorry about this. I don't know where mine went. And then you're also going to write a brief summary of what you thought about the case studies in general, or about the ideas, I should say. So again, if you go to discussions, you'll see that there is a discussion board set up down here for case study discussion. So again, I have reiterated that you're going to upload your UDL checklist for case study 1 and 2. Then you're going to write a short summary, and then you're going to respond to 3 other summaries. You do not need to open their checklists. Those are going to be on there so I can see that you did the work, and that you'll also have easy access to those on Thursday when we do get back into class. All right, so that is essentially what is going to take probably the most of your time today. But just to reiterate really quickly, you're going to complete the TPAC research tasks. You are going to use Poplet to review some information about UDL, what you know, what you think you know, what you don't know. You're then going to take the multiple intelligences survey, learn a little bit about yourself, and then eventually we'll learn a little bit about each other. And then finally, you're going to read and watch the 2 case studies using the UDL educator's checklist, post these checklists on Blackboard discussion, write a summary, and respond to 3 people's comments. I hope that makes sense. I know it's a lot, but again, we are not in class today, so it is important that we make up for all that we have not done. So I hope that if you have any questions, you know where to find me. And I'm just going through as we're here together. So yep, here's the case study discussion. Again, weekly resources. We have week 3, and you will see that here's a reminder about some of the things that you're doing. And when you click on week 3, all of the information and all of the links that you need are provided. Additionally, you will find, again, this presentation not in video form, and it has maybe 1 or 2 things that we were going to do in class. But other than that, you'll see all of the rest of the same information provided. All right, if you don't have any, or if you do have questions, contact me. Otherwise, I wish you lots of luck. Enjoy the snow day, and I will see you soon.